the question is, I ask everyone, I'm asking myself, what is it that I see? What is the thought process? Remember, what's the imagination? What is it it's saying coming into, say, Christmas or coming into certain events? Is it fear? You know, one of the things that I think, and if you're taking notes, hey, fear and faith require the exact same thing. They require that you believe in something that you can't see, that hasn't materialized yet. It requires faith to be fearful of something not happening. You know, remember, you're transformed by the renewing of your mind. So I'm hoping today, and I'm going to give you some steps at the end, some action steps that I believe will help you today. Will help maybe somebody that you know. So, you know, because I think a lot of the times, and hey, put your hand up, leave a comment if you've been like me from time to time. Whereas the first thought that you actually have in the morning is fear or doubt or lack or disappointment. And what happens to me, let me know if this is you, all of a sudden you start building a case why it won't work out, opposed to faith by building a case why it will work out, you know. And one of the things, you know, that I always like to even remind, you know, our men in a mentorship program is that, you know, years ago, decades ago, it was common knowledge that, you know, the biggest fear of a person was public speaking, you know. That was the biggest fear. People would dread it, getting called out in front of a crowd, you know. But these days, the way that the world is and the way that the world's evolving is, the biggest fear these days is not public speaking. It's just speaking. It's just speaking. And how do you think, oh, Gav, that's you're a bit over the top there. Well, have a look. You ring someone next time. Chances are they probably won't answer the phone if they don't know you, you know, if it's not for a reason. They'll message back, they'll text. You may even do it. Instead of calling someone, you just shoot them a message, or you put in an email, or you do some Facebook or some sort of message, anything except talk to them. So remember, you know, the imagination, the picture in your mind, what is it that you see for the future? Does it inspire you? Is it uplifting? Or is it of lack, of doubt, of fear? You know, and I'm going to be really straight here. Okay. And I may be wrong. I don't think I am, but I may be wrong. I actually think that when it comes to, and this might sound harsh, okay, I'm asking for permission. Can I be straight to the point? Whereas I think people, when they're full of fear, what it is actually extreme self-centeredness. They get so focused on themselves, what other people think of them, how they'll look. You get my drift, you know? So, you know, one of the things when it comes to that faith, remember, what do we see? Do we see things working out? Do we see the best result happen? And I think it's, for me, and let me know if this is you, when you put things in perspective, when you get a better perspective on things, you start to see that actually I've always been taken care of. I've always been looked after. I've actually never lacked in anything. If that's you, say, yeah, Gav, that's me. I've lacked in nothing, you know. And how do I know? Well, if you listen to this, you know, you've got 100% success rate for getting up every morning. You're a winner. You're an absolute winner. And when I say perspective, and this is real time, okay? I've been having a conversation with a man. He's actually a pastor, evangelist from Pakistan, okay? And I love where I am here in the world. Yeah, I'm kind of, you know, we're in Malta, a couple of 100 k's from Africa, you know, like, I mean, everywhere's like 25 miles from Sicily, like everything's close. Like, it feels like, you know, you get what I'm saying. Talking with this guy from Africa, right? And he starts showing me certain things, what he's been doing. And I'd never heard of a brickyard, been in a brickyard, okay? And so he's an evangelist. He starts to show me photos. I'm looking at his page. He's what he does, he goes and helps children in brickyards. They're working as slaves. And when I say a brickyard, it's just an open space, and there's all these children making bricks by hand, making bricks. And, I talk about perspective here. When you may think you got it hard. You may think things are tough. You may think you have some fears. He said these kids live and sleep in these brickyards as slaves. I said, like, I'm talking to him and say, how the heck do these kids end up as slaves? Like, what? He goes, well, sometimes what happens in that community with a lot of these kids, their parents have gone into debt, okay? They've had to borrow from the brickyard. They borrow money and they can't repay the debt, so they've got to work it off. So their kids go and work, and some adults do as well, go and work and just live and work as slaves. And he said some of them never pay the debt back. It's just, so I'm talking about perspective here. What are you fearing? I mean, my heart was bleeding, thinking, what can I do? How can I help? So I'm at work there. There's something good's going to happen, I'm sure. But I'm talking about perspective here. You've got faith and you've got fear. What actually are you afraid of? When you've had 100% success rate, you've got up every morning till now. Tomorrow's just going to be a bonus. Remember, I said Albert Einstein, he said, that your imagination is the preview to life's coming attractions. So what is it we actually see in our mind? And when you've got that fear building a case why it won't work out, and then you've got that faith that you build a case why it will work out. And I've got to tell you, I am here in the Mediterranean because of my imagination, because I had the courage to maybe think outside of my area, outside of what I was doing. Had the courage, and like, hey man, let's go for it. When my wife, my kids, let's do this. Let's live an epic adventure. Let's not watch other people do it. Let's do it. I mean, I'm telling you, if I can do it, man, anyone can do it. So how do you do it? And this is one of the things I've been working on, with our mentorship program. And this is just something simple, but very, very powerful, because I honestly believe this is how I ended up here in the Mediterranean. Because what I started to do is I started to go different places. I started to think and imagine, I'll go and see here, I'll go and see there. And particularly when the COVID happened, I started to go further from, when we could only stay in Queensland, in the state where I'm from. I started going further and further and further. And then I think my imagination started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, I ended up on the other side of the world. That mightn't be for you. That's okay. But gentlemen and ladies, I'm normally talking in a men's program. So this is what I would suggest. If you feel like you've got some fear, or maybe you're stuck, or you're just not sure, and this is where the courage maybe kicks in, whereas what do you actually want? Where is somewhere you want to go? What is something you really want to do? What is really in your heart? Because as you start, and this is what I would suggest for everyone, to start writing these things down, pen to paper, start to create a picture in your mind of you being there, of what you would do, how you will feel. You will start to expand your mind. I've read a few books over the time from, Steve Jobs. And one of the things that he used to do, created Apple, man, changed the world. What he would do is actually go and pull and look at other products, on the market, different areas. He would go to different countries, different cultures. Because what happens is, this is what's happened to me, is when you go somewhere different, you start to look at things from a different perspective. You start to see things from a different angle. You start to unlock, your imagination, opposed to just doing what you've always done. You'll get what you've always got. So if you can start to write this stuff down and start to go there in your mind, I guarantee you'll start to work out how or what the next step is, and I mean that's Steve Jobs. I remember this was something I picked up from him out of one of his books, where you talk about that Apple phone, whereas how smooth it is. Some people I've heard describe it as a sexy phone, whereas he went and looked at appliances in kitchens, how smooth. Or you think about that old computer, the big box, opposed to a laptop. How the products were smooth in kitchen appliances, how they were matching, they were attractive, they were good to look at, and then of course he made a computer like that, but he went outside of his normal area, his normal environment, and maybe that's something that you can do. You can just go outside of what you normally do. You'll start to get a better perspective, a different perspective, an enlarged perspective, and you never know where you could end up. So hey, listen, I hope this has been of value. Hey, listen, let's keep being you and keep changing the world. All righty, over and out. And I'll see if I can turn off this Instagram.